Do you like the metaverse? Because I like the metaverse, and I'm really excited that Virtua's Cardano Island is sponsoring this episode. Cardano Island is one of those projects I'm excited to have in our ecosystem. There are small, medium, and large plots, also condos, plans for 4 main sections, different zones and districts, fan caves to display NFTs, 6 different land resources, land bots, non-player character slots, slots for our Cardano Summit 2021 NFTs, other games, and lots more features. I bought a large plot on Cardano Island, and I can't wait to be on my land to see what this becomes. Check out cardano.virtua.com or click the link below. It seems like in life, there are intentions, there are efforts, and then there are outcomes. Intentions are often hidden, and due to the vagaries of the subconscious mind, sometimes even not fully understood by the individual. Efforts are usually easier to see and to judge, but outcomes can be the most straightforward. You might think you had only the best of intentions. You might have been giving it your very best, 110% efforts. But at the end of the day, the thing that matters is whether the outcome was good or bad. Did you move as closer to the goal or further from it? No matter your perceived intentions or your level of effort, the outcome is what actually matters. In addition to good intentions and good efforts, good outcomes also often require skillful execution. Cardano just experienced this in a very immediate way. Ready? Let's go. Today, we're going to discuss what should have been a non-news item around node version 1.35.3 and the Vossel hard fork combinator event, MuesliSwap launching plans for what looks like a brand new product, Coinbase doing a great job of summing up global crypto regulatory progress, and some new Cornucopias info. If you saw this image and immediately understood that that left exit is not the same outcome as the other exits, no matter how well-intentioned it might have been, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. Hey everybody, I've got an idea. What if we in the Cardano ecosystem try not to be the most damaging critics of Cardano? What if we try not to create self-inflicted wounds? That might be a legit approach, right? Because what we've been doing so far, in some cases, has been the opposite of that. Instead of the outcome being that we were advocates of Cardano, that we were like cheerleaders of all the wonderful things in the Cardano ecosystem, and there are many, many wonderful things, the net outcome in some cases has been the opposite of that. We've done the opposite of advocacy. We've been the opposite of proponents of Cardano. How this happened, I think, is a delinkage between good efforts, good intentions, and skillfully applying those things. So I think everybody in the Cardano ecosystem has good intentions, like 99% of people. Like any crypto ecosystem, there's always going to be some outliers for like scammers or whatever. But I think 99% of the real people in the Cardano ecosystem have very good intentions. And I think they make very good efforts. I think people work very, very hard, both inside the founding entities, IOG, Emergo, and the foundation, and just in the community. There are a lot of people doing tremendous amounts of work on Cardano, very high level of effort and very good intentions. However, sometimes we don't very skillfully execute on those intentions and efforts. And this is often the case with criticism of Cardano. So for the record, before we even begin, of course, anyone should be able to offer any criticism of Cardano at any time. Those lines of communication and the freedom to make whatever constructive criticism should always be there. Everybody should always be free to offer whatever criticism. However, there are skillful ways to do this and very unskillful ways to do this. And I'm not even talking about all of these thumbnails here. So I think some of these YouTube video thumbnails, like Paul's, for instance, are attempting to fix a misconception, like Cardano Testnet catastrophically broken, not mainnet. So I'm not even talking about these thumbnails. I'm talking about what sparked these thumbnails. What sparked these kinds of thumbnails was something that shouldn't have even been news, in my opinion. You'll remember 1.35.3, the current version of the node, the version that will take us through the Vossel hard fork combinator event, is just the most recent version. There were some previous versions, and those previous versions were put through a huge amount of testing, both inside of IOG and by the community on the testnet. And the testnet did exactly what it was supposed to do. The testnet exposed some bugs, and they fixed those bugs, and they came up with a new version of the software, 1.35.3, which, as near as we can tell so far, does not contain those bugs. It doesn't have the big problems that were fixed in the previous versions. The testnet did what it was supposed to be doing. But when Charles came out and he was trying to urge stake pools to upgrade to 1.35.3, since the threshold for the Vossel hard fork combinator event is 75% of the stake pools upgrading to this newest version of the node, comments were made about this non-news item, currently not a news item a month ago, several weeks ago, whenever it was, when 1.35.2 had these bugs on the testnet. We all knew about this. We talked about it on this channel even. That was the reason why Vossel was delayed. Stuff everybody already knows about. But that current non-news item, news item like a month ago or whatever, it was offered up in a way that created these kinds of thumbnails. Look at some of these. Cardano testnet, how bad is it? At least this one mentions the testnet. Cardano failure discovered. Okay, accurate if you're talking about a testnet failure. We're talking about practice here, guys. Practice. A month ago, whenever that was. Weeks ago. Cardano failure discovered. Yeah, the testnet did what it's supposed to do. It found bugs and we fixed them. This next one, it's a catastrophe. This one, not good. Catastrophic failure. Will ADA recover? You mean the recovery we've already done by fixing the bug? That failure? Is that what you're talking about? This one, broken, question mark. Broken. At least this one, again, mentions the testnet. And here we have Paul's thumbnail, which actually tells the real story. Cardano testnet, catastrophically broken, not mainnet. He's trying to correct the misconception here, as near as I can tell. And I haven't watched any of these videos. And I didn't cover this at the same time as all these other YouTube channels. The reason? It's not a news item. We already covered the bug appearing in the previous version of the node. That was the whole reason that Vossel was delayed, and the reason we're on this new version of the node, because it fixes the old bugs. Granted, I think the intention behind this being brought up in the way it was, and the way it was brought up, the verbiage definitely had a lot to do why this was so widely disseminated like this. But the reason it was brought up, the intention was to start a conversation about how much testing should be done by the SPOs on the latest version, this newest version, 1.35.3. There was discussion around how much testing should be done and what type of testing, these kinds of things, which test nets should be used, how worried should people be, those kinds of things. That's all great. You want the stake pool operators to be a little bit worried about huge upgrades like the Vossel hard fork. You want them to apply a high level of scrutiny. You want them to do a bunch of testing. All these things are good. You want for people to be on alert when we're making upgrades this big. Those are all good things. But you don't want this outcome. This is not good. This is in some of these cases, I'll call these, misconveyances of information. Like it looks to me like Paul was trying to correct the situation. Cardano testnet catastrophically broken, not the mainnet. He's trying to tell the actual story. Hey, we're talking about this previous testnet with a previous version of the node. But some of these other headlines, Cardano testnet catastrophe, at least she used the word testnet there. Cardano failure discovered. Yeah, that doesn't convey the right information to me. That makes it sound like the mainnet failed. Over here, at least the word testnet was used. This, not good. That doesn't tell me much. Catastrophic failure. Will ADA recover? This implies that there is a chance that ADA will not recover, which I don't believe is actually a realistic statement of the situation. Over here, we have broken question mark and then a Cardano symbol. Again, not very accurate. This happened weeks ago on the testnet with the previous version of the node. Cardano broken. Again, this is all clickbait, but we live in a clickbait era. You notice I didn't even cover this because it wasn't news. We covered this weeks ago on this channel. Yes, there were bugs in previous versions of the node. The bugs were discovered. They talked about this on Cardano 360 or the mid-month update or both. We covered it then. It was news then. We covered it. Now we're on the new version of the node, and this is no longer accurate because it was accurate a month ago or weeks ago, whenever it was. This is kind of like if somebody had a headline for a video right now that said Cardano hard fork launched, smart contracts not operable. Sure, I mean that was accurate in previous hard forks like Shelly. You could say that was accurate when Shelly launched, but it hasn't been accurate for a long time. It's a misconveyance of information, in my opinion. And we already know this is going to happen. This isn't the first time Cardano news has been misconstrued, misconveyed in social media. We know this is going to happen anytime we offer up something that can be twisted like this. That's where the skill comes in. You need to be well-intentioned. You need to put up good efforts, but you also need to be skillful in the way you offer up constructive criticism of Cardano. It sounds bad to say that you should discuss things in a certain way, but if we don't want the bad outcomes like this outcome, we actually do need to be skillful and offer up criticism of Cardano in a way that doesn't lead to this. If you saw the 2 videos Charles created last week after all this went down, he was mad. He was really angry. And I'm glad he's the kind of founder that gets angry, that kind of wears his heart on the sleeve, that he's a passionate man. I'm glad in this case because somebody should be getting angry about this kind of outcome. You can see here he's apologizing. Over the last 3 days, I could have personally chosen a different approach. I regret that I didn't, and I'm sorry. Ultimately, the people who know me know exactly where I'm coming from. I hate seeing these and have personal experience in the damage they cause. We don't actually have time or room for these kinds of outcomes. If we want the ecosystem to grow and become what we want it to become, this only delays us. I don't think anybody's got time for these outcomes. We got to do better in the way we talk about Cardano publicly. It's like, it's great. Definitely offer all the constructive criticism in the world, but use a little skill. Be a little skillful when you do it. Don't produce this outcome. Speaking of effort and skill, we've got fantastic projects in the Cardano ecosystem, like MuesliSwap. Here, MuesliSwap says, Muesli World is growing even bigger. We are excited to share that we're working on Muesli Lending. In its first phase, it will include a bond market DEX, trading of NFT loan bonds. Stay tuned for more information about the testnet. Muesli Lending coming soon. Down below here, they say, in the next phases, we envision to extend Muesli Lending with a lending aggregator, MuesliSwap Lending Protocol. Who doesn't love a good aggregator? We are very excited that our Muesli ecosystem is growing, and stay tuned for some exciting news around Pluto Bay. MuesliSwap has got a lot going on. They've got the V2 coming up after the launch of Plutus, after the launch of Vassal. They've got Pluto Bay coming. It's still a little bit of a mystery. I'm not sure I even understand what Pluto Bay is, but MuesliSwap responded to Jane here. Jane said, yet again, the innovation of MuesliSwap team. At the end of the day, there won't be just one uber successful index on Cardano, but I'll bet a lot of money that you guys will be one of them. And they say, we have come a long way together, Jane. I think they're right. MuesliSwap, the story of MuesliSwap has almost been an echo of the story of Cardano. They were sort of a dark horse that came out of nowhere. People had a lot of questions. There were a lot of questions about what MuesliSwap would actually be because nobody really knew when they first came on the scene because they were in stealth until they launched. But now we see MuesliSwap. Not only do they have a DEX, not only do they have DEX aggregation, not only are they coming out and it's an EUTXO order book DEX, not even an AMM DEX, and now they're coming out with a lending product. We really have come a long way in the Cardano ecosystem, and I think we can all do a great job of offering creative criticism of the ecosystem and the base layer and projects and everything going on at the same time as being skillful advocates of our ecosystem. Speaking of advocates, look what skillful crypto advocacy has been able to accomplish in terms of regulatory clarity. Brian Armstrong, head of Coinbase, says not widely reported, but there's been significant progress on crypto regulatory clarity over the past year amongst the G20 countries. Lots more green and yellow here compared to a year ago. Emerging consensus will drive much greater adoption. So if we look at this actual list, we see a very interesting picture emerging. So the green check marks are places where regulation is in place. The not symbol, the Ghostbuster symbol, is a prohibition of that activity. Yellow, regulation is underway. Red is regulatory process not started yet. And we see that we've got some really good jurisdictions like Japan. Look at this, green checks all the way across, except CBDCs in progress. Switzerland, green checks all the way across, CBDC in progress. And then we've got some other jurisdictions not so good. If we come up here to China, you can see prohibitions across the board, except for the CBDC, which they are launching themselves. So we are making some good progress. Let's see, what have we got? Canada here. Canada, we got 3 check marks. We got a couple reds, 1 yellow. United States, 3 check marks, 2 reds, 1 yellow. United Kingdom, 1 check mark, bunch of yellows, 1 red. So we are making some progress. Like, it feels like sometimes maybe we're moving backwards in terms of achieving regulatory clarity for crypto, but actually we've been making a lot of progress, especially in the last couple of years. In metaverse news, last week we also got this complete guide to the Cornucopias custom domes. The guide is pretty lengthy and it includes all kinds of information. I thought this was especially interesting. It looks like there will be a Tropical Paradise building kit, a Bunker Battle gameplay kit, a Modern Commercial building kit, and a Concert Experience building kit. And you can see a little bit of an enlargement of that image for the Concert Experience building kit. There's also information in here about the actual size in meters of the small, medium, large, epic, and copious custom domes. Some more information about allocations, and it looks like the mint dates and times haven't quite been announced yet. Cornucopias also gave us some great looking gameplay footage involving custom domes. You can check that out on the latest episode of Copy Cafe. I hope you're starting on a great week. I'm excited right now because we can finally get to the important business of sort of the final run up to Vossel. I'm super excited to see what's next in the evolution of our ecosystem. I'll talk to you tomorrow.